You are about to become Emperor of all Tamriel, and the moment the crown touches your head, you are going to faint in front of the entire court. The red dragon crown comes down. The weight of the whole empire settles onto your skull, and your knees stop answering. The room tilts. Then a pair of hands catches you from behind and holds you upright, so the court sees an emperor and not a fainting man. The hands belong to your wife. She was willing to hold you up. Later, that will matter more than the crown. There is a god who lives in your head, and he thinks the two of you are old friends. You will never remember letting him in. That is because you never did. Your name is Pelagius. You were named after your grandfather, who was emperor before you, because in your family, the throne is a thing you inherit. The way other men inherit a nose or a temper. You did not want it. It came for you anyway, from a direction you were watching, and from every direction you were not. You are emperor of all Tamriel now. Solitude was yours first. They made you its king after your aunt died screaming inside its walls, though nobody phrased it to you quite that way. Then your father died quietly in his sleep, and the road led to the imperial city, and the crown, and the hands that caught you. Here is the part they do not carve into the statues. You are the emperor of all Tamriel, and you will not rule it for a single day. Your wife rules it. Kataraya, shrewd, beautiful, a diplomat born, chosen for you precisely because someone hoped her grace could paper over your cracks. She makes the decisions. She meets the ambassadors. She keeps the elder council moving. Your entire function at court is to not embarrass her, and you are catastrophically bad at your function. You know what they call you when they think you cannot hear. You can always hear. Your mother made certain of that. That was her one gift to you, and you carry it everywhere. It cost more than the crown ever did. But this starts earlier. Before Solitude. Before you were anything but a small boy in a country at war with itself. Your mother taught you one lesson before you could spell your own name. Danger comes from anywhere, at any time, delivered by anyone. The smiling cousin, the trusted cook, the gift left on your pillow. She wielded fear the way other mothers wield a comb, working it through you every morning until it lay flat and permanent against your scalp. So you did not sleep. You lay in the dark as a child and watched your own nightmares assemble in the corner of the room, and you waited for them, because waiting was the only defense she had given you. The night terrors never really stopped. They only learned to wear court clothes. This is the boy who becomes emperor, a man who cannot trust a plate of food, because somewhere behind it might be a hand that means him harm. They say that during the siege that killed your aunt, an old woman pressed a gift into your child's hands, a jewel with something trapped inside it. Your aunt was the most dangerous sorceress the Empire ever produced, and she hated your father's whole line, and the story says she reached out of her own ruin to curse the boy who would inherit everything she was denied. A cursed heirloom. A wolf's last bite. It explains you completely. It is a tidy story and a kind one. You are going to lose it. For now, it lets everyone breathe easier, yourself most of all, because a curse is something that was done to you. A curse can be blamed on a wicked woman and a wicked gem. A curse means that somewhere underneath it, there is a version of you who was clean. You would like to meet him. You never will. For a while, the court endures you. You address the Argonian ambassador entirely in grunts and hisses, because that is his natural tongue and you are only being courteous. You have the palace scrubbed before dawn, every morning, because filth is a kind of danger, and danger comes from anywhere. When a visitor stands too close, sometimes you bite. You are the emperor. No one can tell you to stop. Then, at the end of a grand ball, you try to hang yourself, and the pretending ends. Kataraya is made regent. You are sent away. to a series of healing houses and asylums, each gentler in its language and firmer in its locks, each one a little further from the throne that still, technically, carries your name. Your wife rules an empire that adores her. You decorate a cell, and in that cell, you decide to throw a party. It is the finest idea you have ever had. A ball, musicians, dancing, gold candelabra, rugs stitched with gems, held right there in your wing of the asylum, befitting the dignity of the Emperor of Tamriel. Kataraya, wanting you happy, sends a caravan of gold to pay for it. You throw yourself into the guest list and immediately hit a problem only you could have. You have to send for your advisors and ask them, one name at a time, which of your guests are alive, which are dead, and which you invented. You cannot tell anymore. That is the truth of the room you are standing in. The living, the dead, and the imaginary have started sitting in the same chairs. The night of the ball, no one comes. You climb the stairs to your room, and the whole party arrives at once, inside you. You throw yourself to the floor, screaming, laughing, calling for more wine, possessed by every reveler at the celebration that never happened, and thrashing there on the stones, surrounded by a crowd only you can see. You are as full of company as you have ever been in your life, which brings you back to the jewel, and the tidy story it belongs to. The night terrors came before the jewel. They came before your aunt's siege, before the old woman's hands, before you were old enough to be cursed by anyone but the woman who raised you. The fear was older than any city gate. It began as your mother's voice in a nursery, and it was already wide awake in the dark the first night you were ever afraid. Nothing got in. There was never a door. The thing you have spent your whole life fighting was not a visitor, and it was not a wolf's curse, and it was not a wicked gem. It was the tenant who was already living there when you arrived. Every plate you refused, every dawn's scrubbing, every name you could not sort into living or dead. That was the sound of a man keeping house with the one companion who never once left him. Your wife left, for the good of the empire. Your court left. Your name went on ruling in rooms you would never see again. The madness stayed. Whatever else you could not trust, you could trust that. You are 34 years old when it ends, in a cell in a temple on a small island, a temple built to cure the mad. A brief fever takes you on a warm night in the early days of the year. That is all. After the wars and the crown and the crowd of guests who were never there, you go out like a candle in a quiet room. You did try to stop it. On what becomes your deathbed, you issue one last decree as Emperor of Tamriel. You outlaw death. You forbid it outright. You who were never permitted to command your own court reach up and command the universe itself to stand down. It does not listen. Death comes anyway, on the softest feet, through the one door your mother never thought to guard. She taught you to fear the hand, the gift, the face in the crowd. She never once mentioned sleep. So death waits until you are asleep, the way it waited for your father on a night that felt safe. She was right about everything except where to look. You die, and the story should end. It does not. It gets stranger and, impossibly, tant kinder. The world that locked you away does not forget you. It does the opposite. It sets aside a day in your name. And on that day, across the whole empire, foolishness of every kind is encouraged and celebrated. Mad Pelagius, they call it. The maddest man ever to wear the crown becomes a holiday. The court that hid you turns your name into a reason to laugh in the streets. And the room you died in does not stay empty either. When the temple falls, someone carries its stones away, everyone, and rebuilds it, exact and whole, inside the realm of the god of madness himself. They say that if you stand in that rebuilt room at night, you can still hear an emperor screaming. Your worst room, preserved forever, in the one place in all creation where madness is not a sickness, but a throne. And in that place, Centuries after your last fever, a god sits at a tea table across from you and pours a second cup. He calls you his dear, sweet friend. He tells you that you are the finest emperor who ever ruled. He has been keeping you company for longer than your empire lasted, and he shows no sign of leaving, because to him you were never broken and never a patient. Only good company, only an old friend. The coronation, again. The crown comes down, your knees give out, and hands catch you from behind and hold you upright before the world can see you fall. Those hands were your wife's, and she let go, the way the living have to. The god at the table never did. Somewhere out there, someone you love was handed a fear in a dark room by a person who was supposed to keep them safe, and they have carried it so long they can no longer tell it apart from themselves. If lives like this one are the kind of story you want to keep beside you at the end of long days, subscribe. The tea is still warm. Across the table, the cup lifts towards you.